Imagine a time, over 500 million years ago, when the planet was a vast ocean. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a burst of life appears. This is the Cambrian explosion, one of the most puzzling events in Earth's history. During this period, from about 541 to 485 million years ago, a mere blink in geological time, the fossil record reveals an unprecedented burst of evolutionary innovation. Over a short period of about 20 million years, most major animal groups, or phyla, emerged. But here's the catch: evolution, as we understand it today, is a slow, gradual process. So what could have caused this sudden leap? Scientists are still grappling with this paradox. Multiple theories have been proposed, but no consensus has been reached. One leading hypothesis suggests that the increase in atmospheric oxygen levels made it possible for larger and more complex organisms to thrive. This rise in oxygen may have allowed the growth of larger body sizes and a diversity of forms. But how do we explain the intricate body plans that appeared so rapidly? This question leads us to the concept of genetic innovation. During this time, a key evolutionary event could be connected to the development of the genetic toolkit, known as the toolkit genes. These genes act like the instruction manual for form and structure in forming an organism. One example is the HOX genes, which play a crucial role in determining the layout of body structures in animals. The mystery of why and how these genes evolved remains, but they could have been switched on in a new way during the Cambrian, rallying an explosion of diverse life forms. Yet, the Cambrian explosion is not just a tale of complexity. It's also about extinction. The fossils show that while new life was emerging, many species disappeared just as rapidly. This cyclical nature raises more questions than it answers. Why did some survive while others vanished? Could it be tied to environmental factors or competition for resources? As we peel back the layers of this mystery, we find echoes of the Cambrian explosion in today's biodiversity loss. Are we witnessing another mass extinction, driven by our own actions? The lessons from the past highlight the fragility of life. We must learn from nature's grand experiments, which have shaped not only our planet but the very DNA of life itself. This chapter merely scratches the surface of evolutionary enigmas. With the Cambrian explosion as a backdrop, we now turn our attention to another perplexing story in the evolutionary narrative. When we think of evolution, we often conjure images of our ancient ancestors. The famous phrase "missing link" suggests that somewhere, there are crucial fossil specimens that will help us connect modern species with their ancient relatives. But what if the story of evolution is far more complex than a simple linear progression? Historically, the concept of the missing link has been a tantalizing puzzle for scientists, igniting curiosity about how species evolve over time. For example, famously, the discovery of fossils like Australopithecus afarensis, exemplified by the famous Lucy, created a sensation in the 1970s. However, despite this clarity, gaps still exist. Where are the transitional forms that help us understand the full story of human evolution? While Lucy gave us insight, many more are still out there, hidden in the layers of Earth. Some speculate that the fossil record is notoriously incomplete. Fossilization is an incredibly rare event, requiring specific conditions to occur. Most organisms decompose without leaving a trace. This leads to what researchers call birds soar through our skies today, but their journey to the air was anything but straightforward. The evolution of flight is a fascinating narrative intertwined with both biological adaptation and environmental change. To trace this story, we must go back to the late Jurassic period, approximately 150 million years ago. At this time, a unique creature named Archaeopteryx emerged. Often hailed as the quintessential missing link between dinosaurs and modern birds, Archaeopteryx possessed both avian and reptilian features, feathers, wings, but also teeth and a long bony tail. The question remains, did it fly, glide, or merely flutter? Scientists are divided, with some believing Archaeopteryx was primarily a ground dweller. Paleontological evidence supports multiple hypotheses. Some research suggests that early birds might have developed flight capabilities to escape predators, while others argue that flight began as a strategy to catch prey. The wings could have facilitated more than just descent, they might have allowed an entirely new method of hunting. As we sift through these competing theories, the emergence of true powered flight remains a subject of debate. Modern birds are characterized by lightweight bones and a high metabolic rate, adaptations that finely tuned their ability to take to the skies. But how did these features evolve? One leading hypothesis suggests the evolution of feathers allowed for gliding. Over millions of years, this effectively paved the way for the transition to powered flight. This gradual transition signifies nature's remarkable ability to adapt and innovate under pressure. Yet, as we look back onto the evolutionary timeline, we notice certain anomalies in this narrative. For instance, not all flying creatures evolved from birds. Bats and insects also took to the skies, and each group developed unique adaptations to flight. Could it be that flight evolved independently multiple times across different species? This phenomenon, known as convergent evolution, reveals the complexity of adaptations in response to environmental challenges. Each evolutionary path provides insight into how life responds to prehistoric challenges, but it also raises more questions than answers. Why did different species find flight advantageous in their respective environments? As we dive deeper into these questions, we'll uncover another perplexing area of evolution. Extinction may seem like an end, but in the grand narrative of evolution, it often serves as a reset button to life on Earth. The relationship between extinction and evolution is intertwined in ways that reveal nature's resilience. Throughout history, we have experienced 5 major mass extinctions, events that radically altered the trajectory of life. Among them, the most famous is the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, which wiped out about 75% of all species, including the dinosaurs, roughly 66 million years ago. But how do we connect extinction to the evolutionary ladder? Studies indicate that in the aftermath of mass extinction events, surviving species were often the catalysts for bursts of evolutionary innovation. The vast void left by extinct species allowed other organisms to fill ecological niches, leading to rapid diversification. One compelling case is that of mammals. After the extinction of dinosaurs, mammals evolved into the dominant group of land animals. This period, known as the Age of Mammals, showcases the potential of life to adapt and evolve in previously unoccupied ecological spaces. But the passage from survival to dominance is fraught with challenges. Can we then consider extinction an integral part of evolution? Some scientists argue that the loss of biodiversity can spark new evolutionary paths that may not have existed otherwise. For example, the diversification of flowering plants led to new food sources for various species, creating opportunities for evolution to unfold in unexpected ways. As we explore the theories of evolution, we must also confront the reality of current extinction rates. We are currently facing an unprecedented loss of biodiversity, driven by human activity. How will this affect the future of evolution? Are we on the brink of another mass extinction? Each day we are rewriting the rules of this complex narrative. The interplay between extinction and evolution doesn't just shape the past, it has profound implications for the future of life on our planet. As we look forward, the question arises, what does the future hold for human evolution? Are we at a standstill, or is evolution still working its magic upon our species? Humans have historically altered their environments at an unprecedented rate, introducing an array of pressures that could shape our evolutionary future. Technological advancements have rewritten the narrative of survival. In many ways, natural selection has taken a back seat to cultural evolution. Societal changes, health advancements, and medical technologies now play pivotal roles in shaping our evolutionary trajectory. For instance, the advent of antibiotics has changed the game, allowing individuals with genes that would have previously made them susceptible to fatal diseases to survive and reproduce. Could this lead to an evolution of a different kind? What traits might we adopt as we continue to evolve in a world dominated by technology? Paleogenomics, the study of ancient DNA, has begun to unravel our past and provide clues about our future. For example, we have learned about the existence of Neanderthals, whose DNA still plays a role in our genetic makeup today. Their adaptation to cold environments and various diseases shaped the genetic diversity we see in modern humans. But as our world becomes increasingly interconnected, what will the selective pressures be in the future? Globalization introduces new environmental challenges, such as climate change, that will inevitably test our resilience. Will humans adapt through biological changes, or will innovation and technology suffice to overcome these hurdles? Additionally, the phenomenon of gene editing, like CRISPR technology, offers a glimpse into the potential of human-directed evolution. We are at a crossroads where our choices may lead us down radically different evolutionary paths. As we ponder the implications, we must also consider the ethical ramifications of tampering with our own genome. Human evolution is no longer purely a natural process. It intertwines with culture, technology, and ethics, creating a complex tapestry of interactions. Each step we take will carve out the narrative of our existence. Thus, while we speculate about what's to come, the question remains, are we still evolving? As we conclude this chapter, we stand on the cusp of understanding what comes next in the ever-unfolding story of life. Consciousness, that elusive quality that defines our existence, remains one of the greatest enigmas in the study of evolution. As scientists unravel the complexities of the human mind, they find themselves faced with the question, how did consciousness evolve? This journey begins over 500 million years ago, during the Cambrian period, when the first complex nervous systems arose. From simple nerve nets in jellyfish to the intricate brains of mammals, the evolution of consciousness is fraught with philosophical and biological questions. One striking observation is the variability of consciousness across species. For instance, while humans possess self-awareness and complex reasoning, other animals exhibit different cognitive abilities. Consider the octopus, a creature with a decentralized nervous system and exceptional problem-solving skills. Research has shown that octopuses can learn from experience and even display playful behaviors, challenging our traditional views of consciousness. Moreover, a significant factor in the evolution of consciousness is social complexity. Species that live in intricate social groups, like elephants and dolphins, experience elevated forms of awareness due to their need for complex communication and social interaction. For example, elephants demonstrate mourning behaviors for deceased companions, showcasing emotional depth that hints at a profound level of consciousness. Theories abound regarding why consciousness developed. One prominent theory, the social brain hypothesis, posits that as social structures grew more complex, so too did the brains of those within them. This hypothesis is supported by the fact that primates, known for their social interactions, have larger brain-to-body size ratios compared to solitary animals. Despite significant advancements in neuroscience, the hard problem of consciousness, which questions why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experiences, remains unresolved. As we continue to explore the evolutionary timeline, the question echoes, is consciousness merely a byproduct of evolution, or is it a fundamental aspect of life itself? The implications of understanding consciousness stretch far beyond biology. They touch on ethics, artificial intelligence, and our place in the universe. As we ponder the depths of our own minds, we face the horizon of knowledge that remains just out of reach. How does this quest for understanding shape our future? In the next chapter, we will delve into the evolutionary history of language, intertwining it with consciousness and communication. Human language, an intricate system of communication that allows us to express thoughts, emotions, and ideas, stands as a defining characteristic of our species. But how did such a complex system evolve? The evolution of language can be traced back to early hominins, whose vocalizations may have begun as simple calls to communicate basic needs. This chapter explores the journey from primitive sounds to the rich tapestry of languages we speak today. The origins of language are intertwined with both biological and social evolution. Fossil records suggest that the development of the human brain, particularly areas associated with speech production, like Broca's area, coincided with significant cultural shifts. As our ancestors began to live in larger social groups, the need for more complex communication grew. One prominent theory, the gesture-first hypothesis, suggests that early humans first communicated using gestures before developing spoken language. This hypothesis posits that physical signals were instrumental in establishing social bonds and sharing information. A fascinating case study is that of sign language among the deaf community, which demonstrates that rich linguistic structures can arise from nonverbal communication. Another critical aspect of language evolution is the interaction between language and culture. Linguists argue that as languages evolve, they shape our culture and perception of reality. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis posits that language influences thought and societal norms. For instance, the way different cultures conceptualize time, gender, and even color can vary significantly based on their languages. Moreover, the evolution of language raises intriguing questions about its future. With technological advancements, how will language adapt? The rise of social media and texting has introduced new forms of communication, influencing not just language but human interaction itself. As we ponder the evolution of language, we must also consider its connection to consciousness. The ability to express abstract thoughts and emotions relies heavily on linguistic capability. In our next chapter, we will investigate how culture plays a vital role in shaping evolution, as well as the impact of human actions on the natural world. Culture, often viewed as a backdrop to human life, plays an integral role in our evolution. From the development of tools to the shaping of social norms, culture influences not only how we interact but how we adapt and survive. In this chapter, we delve into the ways culture drives evolutionary changes and the feedback loop between cultural practices and biological evolution. One of the most notable examples of cultural evolution is the practice of toolmaking. Early human ancestors demonstrated the ability to create and utilize tools, which significantly enhanced their survival and adaptability. As these practices became ingrained in cultures, they produced a significant evolutionary advantage, leading to advances in hunting, gathering, and eventually agriculture. Moreover, cultural selection can influence genetic evolution. The adaptation of the lactase persistence trait in some human populations, allowing adults to digest lactose, has been linked to the domestication of dairy animals and the cultural practice of milk consumption. This relationship illustrates how culture and biology can coalesce, resulting in tangible evolutionary change within a relatively short time frame. Language, which we explored in the previous chapter, is another cultural product impacting human evolution. The transmission of knowledge through language allows for the sharing of innovations, resulting in cumulative cultural evolution, a concept introduced by psychologist Susan Blackmore. This phenomenon explains how cultures can advance far beyond biological evolution, with technology and ideas accumulating over generations. As we navigate through the impactful role of culture, we soon find ourselves addressing the darker side of cultural practices, how they can lead to environmental degradation and societal issues. The Industrial Revolution, for instance, propelled technological advancement but also instigated massive ecological damage. Ultimately, culture is a double-edged sword. It fosters innovation and collaboration, yet it can also incite conflict and destruction. The future trajectory of human evolution will largely depend on how we balance cultural advancements with the preservation of our planet. In the next chapter, we will explore how climate change and human actions are reshaping the evolutionary pathways of various species, posing new challenges for life on Earth. As we step further into the 21st century, the impact of human activities on the natural world cannot be overstated. Our rapid advancements, while remarkable, have placed unprecedented pressure on the biodiversity of our planet. In this chapter, we examine the ways in which human actions are influencing the evolutionary trajectories of countless species, often leading to unintended consequences. One of the most apparent impacts is habitat destruction. As cities expand and agriculture intensifies, numerous species are pushed to the brink of extinction. The International Union for Conservation of Nature estimates that over 1 million species face extinction due to habitat loss, climate change, and pollution. In addition, the concept of Anthropocene, a term used to describe the current geological epoch defined by significant human impact on Earth, suggests that we are now stewards of the planet's evolutionary future. Species are not just becoming extinct due to our actions, they are also evolving in response to human pressures. A powerful example of rapid evolution can be seen in the case of urban foxes in London. These foxes have adapted to city life, altering their behavior and diet to thrive in an urban environment. This phenomenon of urban evolution shows that while human activities can be destructive, they can also create new ecological niches for resilient species. However, as we delve deeper into these evolutionary changes, we find ourselves grappling with ethical questions. Should we intervene in natural processes to manage endangered species, or should we allow nature to take its course? The answer is complex, involving conservation strategies that balance human needs with ecological stability. As we ponder the future, the necessity of sustainable practices becomes evident. How we choose to engage with our planet today will determine not only the survival of diverse species but also the trajectory of human evolution itself. In our concluding chapter, we will reflect on the overarching themes of evolution, the mysteries we've explored, and the future of life on Earth. As we conclude our exploration into the mysteries of evolution, we arrive at a pivotal crossroads in the history of life on Earth. The delicate balance between human existence and the natural world is more precarious than ever. This chapter synthesizes the insights we've gathered, contemplating the future of not just humanity, but all life on our planet. Throughout our journey, we've witnessed the intricacies of evolution, from the Cambrian explosion to the role of culture and the impact of our species. As we confront the challenges of climate change, habitat loss, and species extinction, we must also recognize the resilience of life and its capacity to adapt. Emerging technologies stoke both hope and concern for the future. Tools such as CRISPR and other genetic editing technologies present possibilities for combating diseases and enhancing agricultural resilience. However, with these powers come ethical responsibilities. How do we ensure that we use this knowledge for the benefit of all, rather than perpetuating inequality? Furthermore, the interconnectedness of our global ecosystem underscores the urgency of collective action. Individual and community efforts in conservation, sustainable living, and biodiversity protection are critical for safeguarding our planet's future. As we seek to navigate this complex landscape, we must remember that the choices we make shape not just our trajectory but that of countless other species. The legacy we leave behind will be defined by whether we choose collaboration over conflict, sustainability over exploitation. In closing, the greatest mysteries of evolution are not only historical puzzles but living questions that define our present. As we strive to understand our past and our role in the cosmos, we are reminded that the future is still being written. Let us embrace the wonder of life and commit to a path that honors both our human history and the diverse tapestry of life that continues to unfold on this planet. The story of evolution is far from over. It is a testament to resilience, creativity, and the enduring quest for understanding. As we delve into the intricate world of evolutionary developmental biology, or EvoDevo, we uncover the fascinating processes that shape the form and structure of living organisms. The mystery lies in understanding how the same set of genes can produce radically different physical traits in different environments. For example, consider the remarkable transformation of butterfly wings. These natural marvels are not merely beautiful, they are complex structures formed through the interaction of genetic information and environmental factors. In the early 20th century, scientists discovered that the homeotic genes, often referred to as master regulatory genes, dictate the basic layout of an organism's body plan. One pioneering figure in the field, Edward Lewis, studied the genetic mutations causing the transformation of specific body parts in fruit flies. His work not only earned him a Nobel Prize but also opened the floodgates to a new understanding of how evolutionary changes can occur at a molecular level. Emerging studies showcase that even minor changes in these regulatory genes can lead to significant morphological changes, evidenced by the diverse beak shapes among Darwin's finches depending on the available diet on the Galapagos Islands. This relationship between evolution and development deepens our understanding of biodiversity and raises further questions. How do environmental pressures mold these genetic expressions? How can we track these changes over time? The implications stretch far beyond individual species. They can influence entire ecosystems. One of the most intriguing discoveries in EvoDevo is the concept of genetic toolkit, a set of genes that play critical roles in shaping the fundamental structures of all multicellular organisms. By studying these tools, scientists are not just peering into the past, they are also gaining insights into potential future evolutionary paths. Recent research suggests that climate change and habitat loss could exert new pressures on species, possibly leading to accelerated evolutionary adaptations. As we look towards the future, one cannot help but wonder, what new traits will emerge in a world where human impacts are evidently reshaping the natural order? The unfolding story of EvoDevo continues to captivate researchers and ignites public imagination, reminding us that evolution is not a straight line, but a tangled web of genetic and environmental interactions. The next chapter will explore another fascinating aspect of evolution, the role of symbiosis in the evolutionary narrative. In the vast tapestry of life on Earth, symbiosis stands out as a remarkable phenomenon that has played a crucial role in the evolutionary process. From the tiniest microbes to the largest mammals, the relationships formed between different species often transcend mere survival. They can dictate evolutionary trajectories. Let's take a closer look at one of the most famous examples of symbiosis, the relationship between clownfish and sea anemones. The clownfish finds refuge amongst the tentacles of the anemone, gaining protection from predators, while the anemone benefits from the clownfish's waste, which nourishes it. What few realize is that these two species have evolved together over millions of years, leading to specialized adaptations that benefit both. Another stunning illustration of symbiosis is found in the relationship between certain species of ants and aphids. Ants tend to aphids as if they were livestock, protecting them from predators while also feeding on the sugary substances produced by the aphids. In return, the ants receive a steady supply of nourishment. Such mutualistic relationships are pervasive in nature, illustrating the interconnectedness of life. But not all symbiotic relationships are beneficial. Some can be parasitic, where one organism benefits at the other's expense. A prime example would be the relationship between tapeworms and their hosts. The tapeworm thrives in the digestive system of its host, while its host invariably suffers from nutrient loss. These dynamics underscore a complex web of interactions that drives natural selection and evolution. When we explore microbial symbiosis, we uncover another layer of complexity. The human microbiome, for instance, is composed of trillions of microorganisms that play essential roles in digestion, immunity, and even mental health. Emerging research suggests that disruptions to our microbiome may lead to various health issues, thus highlighting the evolutionary importance of these microbial partnerships. As we delve deeper into evolutionary narratives, it becomes clear that symbiotic relationships are not just ancillary, they are foundational to understanding the evolution of life itself. So as ecosystems continue to change, we must ask, what new symbiotic relationships will emerge in response? In our next chapter, we will explore the intriguing concept of coevolution, where species evolve in tandem, shaping each other's destinies. Coevolution is one of the most captivating aspects of evolution, illustrating the interconnectedness of species and their environments. This dynamic process occurs when two or more species influence each other's evolutionary path, often leading to adaptations that are finely tuned to their partners. A classic example can be seen in the relationship between flowering plants and their pollinators. The intricate shapes, colors, and scents of flowers have evolved to attract specific pollinators, while those pollinators, in turn, have developed traits ideal for accessing the nectar and pollen of those plants. A stunning case is the relationship between the Darwin's orchid and its pollinator, the moth. Predicted to have a long proboscis, the moth was needed to pollinate the flower, which has an exceptionally long nectar spur. This relationship, noted by Charles Darwin himself, exemplifies the intricate dance of coevolution, where one species' traits directly shape those of another. Yet coevolution goes beyond plants and their pollinators. It also plays a critical role in predator-prey relationships. Predators and their prey are locked in a perpetual arms race, constantly adapting to each other's strategies. For instance, consider the cheetah and the gazelle. The cheetah has evolved to be the fastest land animal, allowing it to outrun its prey. In parallel, the gazelle has developed incredible agility to evade the cheetah's grasp. This back and forth has profound implications for the evolution of both species, demonstrating how their survival is intrinsically tied. Interestingly, coevolution can also occur on a scale that includes entire ecosystems. As we disrupt these systems through human activities, we disrupt the delicate balance of coevolution that has developed over millennia. As species adapt to new challenges, whether they be climate change or habitat loss, new patterns of coevolution emerge, shaping biodiversity for generations to come. As we explore this evolving narrative, we face an important question: how will coevolution guide the next chapter of life on Earth, especially in an era of rapid environmental change? Our next chapter will examine the evolutionary implications of genetic engineering and biotechnology. Genetic drift is one of the cornerstones of evolutionary theory, yet it remains shrouded in misunderstanding and mystery. Unlike natural selection, which is a process driven by environmental pressures, genetic drift occurs due to random fluctuations in allele frequencies within a population. This randomness can lead to remarkable evolutionary outcomes, including the emergence of new species. Consider the case of the infamous cheetah, whose genetic diversity has been significantly reduced due to a past bottleneck event in the population. Today, cheetahs are incredibly similar genetically, meaning that they are more susceptible to disease and environmental changes. In small populations, drift can lead to accelerated evolutionary changes. A fascinating instance of this is seen in the isolated population of the Lake Erie water snake, which has diverged from its mainland relatives. Through genetic drift, this population developed a striking coloration, primarily a darker hue, that provides optimal camouflage in its unique habitat. Such adaptations illustrate how randomness can impact evolution just as profoundly as natural selection. Moreover, genetic drift has implications beyond individual species. It can contribute to the concept of speciation, where two populations diverge enough that they can no longer interbreed. When the founder effect occurs, where a small group starts a new population, the traits of this small group can dominate, leading to a unique evolutionary path. One outstanding example of founder effect-driven evolution is the Galapagos finches. These birds' beak sizes and shapes have adapted to the specific food sources available on their respective islands. Understanding genetic drift allows scientists to appreciate the role of chance in shaping biodiversity. While it may seem counterintuitive, randomness is a powerful force in nature. By analyzing genetic drift, we can better appreciate the intricate tapestry of life, a dynamic interplay of chance, adaptation, and survival. As we explore the realms of evolution, how does this randomness influence the future of biodiversity? Are we destined to lose particular traits through drift, or can we harness this understanding to conserve the genetic diversity of vulnerable populations? The answers lie within the very fabric of evolution itself. The Earth has undergone dramatic environmental changes throughout its history, and these alterations have left an indelible mark on the path of evolution. From volcanic eruptions to meteor impacts, climate fluctuations to glaciation, these events have shaped the evolutionary trajectory of life on our planet. One of the most significant periods of change occurred approximately 66 million years ago, during the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event. This event, famously linked to the extinction of the dinosaurs, opened the door for mammals to rise and diversify. The aftermath of this cataclysmic event reshaped ecosystems, and ecosystems reassembled in novel ways. As mammals adapted to fill the ecological niches left vacant by the dinosaurs, we saw an explosion of diversity, from the furry small creatures scurrying through forests to the mighty whales that rule the oceans. This evolutionary resurgence demonstrates how environmental upheaval can catalyze adaptive radiation, where one lineage can rapidly evolve into a host of new forms. More recently, in response to climate change, we are witnessing the emergence of new evolutionary adaptations. For example, as polar ice melts, we are observing behavioral changes among species like polar bears and seals, which adapt to find new food sources or migrate earlier in the season. Even in urban environments, species like rats and pigeons exhibit evolutionary traits that allow them to thrive in human-altered landscapes. However, these adaptations can also come at a cost. As species struggle to keep pace with the rapidity of environmental change, we may witness extinctions at an unprecedented rate. It is estimated that we are currently experiencing the sixth mass extinction event, driven largely by human activity. The question arises, can life on Earth continue to adapt and survive the onslaught of climate change? Will future generations of wildlife still reflect the incredible diversity we see today? Understanding the profound relationship between environmental shifts and evolution sheds light on the resilience and fragility of life on our planet. We delve deeper into the survival strategies species employ and the challenges they face in this rapidly changing world. Resistance to change is a hallmark of the evolutionary process. Across the spectrum of life, from microorganisms to mammals, the ability to adapt to environmental pressures has dictated survival. One of the most profound examples of this phenomenon can be seen in the evolution of antibiotic resistance among bacteria. Since the advent of antibiotics, certain bacterial strains have developed mechanisms to resist treatment, leading to a public health crisis. The story of penicillin's introduction shows how quickly bacteria can adapt. Initially, it was celebrated as a miracle drug, saving countless lives during World War II. Yet, within years, the first cases of penicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus emerged, illustrating a fierce arms race between humans and pathogens. This ongoing struggle highlights the importance of understanding microbial evolution and the potential consequences of our actions. Similarly, the evolution of resistance is witnessed in pests as well. Take the case of the Colorado potato beetle. After decades of pesticide application, these beetles have developed resistance to multiple classes of chemicals. This resistance presents a challenge to agriculture, where reliance on chemical treatments becomes less effective. Yet, it is not just microbes and pests that showcase evolutionary resistance. In the context of climate change, species are also adapting to survive. Coral reefs, for example, are facing bleaching events due to rising ocean temperatures. Some coral species showcase resilience, surviving despite stress, a fascinating example of adaptive evolution in response to environmental challenges. As we consider the implications of evolution's resistance, we must ask ourselves, how does this ability to adapt shape the future of life on Earth? Will we see more examples of resilience, or will the pressures of change overwhelm existing species? The answers lie within our understanding of evolution and its interplay with our environment. Genetic drift is a fascinating and often misunderstood aspect of evolution. Unlike natural selection, which actively favors traits that enhance survival and reproduction, genetic drift is a random process. It occurs in small populations where chance events can have a disproportionate effect on allele frequencies. For instance, imagine a small island population of beetles that happens to experience a sudden, severe storm. If, by sheer chance, most of the blue beetles survive while the green ones perish over generations, the blue beetle trait will dominate the population, regardless of its adaptive value. In the 1900s, a classic example of genetic drift was observed in a population of northern elephant seals. Once on the brink of extinction, their population regrew to about 30 individuals. This small foundation led to a serious reduction in genetic diversity. Today, all northern elephant seals are genetically similar, which raises concerns about their resilience to diseases and environmental changes. Another case is the famous founder effect observed in the Amish population of Pennsylvania. When a small group of Swiss Germans settled in the area, they carried a limited gene pool. Certain genetic disorders, like Ellis Van Creveld syndrome, became prevalent within this community due to their isolation and the random mating practices that followed. Thus, genetic drift reveals the power of randomness in evolution, often contrasting with the more deliberate process of natural selection. It emphasizes how small changes can have significant consequences over time. As we explore the complexities of genetic drift, we notice that every population carries the echoes of history, shaped not just by survival but by fate and chance. This brings us to the question, how does this randomness impact the future of species? What implications does it have on conservation efforts? As we delve deeper, we'll uncover the unexpected connections between chance events and evolutionary outcomes. Throughout history, Earth's environments have undergone radical transformations, shaping the course of evolution in profound ways. The fluctuations in climate, geology, and geographic features have acted as both catalysts and barriers in the evolutionary process. Take, for instance, the Ice Ages. These periods of extreme cold forced many species to adapt or perish. The woolly mammoth, an iconic emblem of this era, evolved thick fur and a layer of fat to survive the frigid temperatures. However, as the climate warmed, their habitats shrank, leading to their eventual extinction. Similarly, the shifting of tectonic plates has dramatically influenced biodiversity. When continents drift apart, species that were once united can evolve independently, leading to unique adaptations. The separation of Madagascar from the Indian subcontinent has led to a wealth of endemism, from lemurs to the bizarre ii. Moreover, human activity is perhaps the most pressing contemporary factor influencing evolution today. Urbanization, deforestation, and pollution create a host of challenges for species. For instance, urban coyotes have displayed remarkable adaptability, adjusting their hunting strategies and behavior to thrive in metropolitan environments. This demonstrates not only resilience but also the potential for rapid evolutionary change driven by environmental pressures. As we analyze these transformations, we begin to understand how they force species to adapt in surprising ways. What might the future hold as our environment continues to change? How will current species evolve in response to climate change? The answers lie in both the past and the decisions we make today. What lessons can we learn about resilience and adaptability as we face our own environmental challenges? Resistance is a powerful form of adaptation that showcases the dynamic relationship between organisms and their environments. From pests developing resistance to pesticides to bacteria evolving immunity to antibiotics, resistance illustrates a critical aspect of evolutionary biology. In the agricultural sector, the rapid evolution of pesticide resistance in insect populations is a glaring example. The cotton bollworm, a notorious pest, adapted quickly to genetically modified crops designed to kill it. As these pests became resistant, farmers faced dwindling options, forcing the agricultural community to reconsider pest management. In the medical field, antibiotic resistance has emerged as one of the most pressing health crises worldwide. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Microbiology highlighted that about 30% of all bacteria are resistant to one or more antibiotics. The bacteria's ability to mutate and transfer resistance genes among themselves exacerbates the situation, creating superbugs that threaten global health. This ongoing arms race raises questions about our reliance on antibiotics and the necessity for innovative solutions. How do we balance modern medicine with the evolving capabilities of bacteria? Moreover, the phenomenon of resistance extends beyond single species. The coevolution of predators and prey highlights a continuous struggle for survival. Consider the classic example of the 1970s, where the introduction of the rabbit myxomatosis virus in Australia intended to control the rabbit population only led to the rabbits evolving resistance, showcasing evolution's unpredictable nature. By examining resistance through these lenses, we gain insights into the interconnected web of life. Resistance is not merely a challenge but a testament to the resilience of life forms. As we ponder the future, we must ask ourselves, what steps can we take today to promote coexistence rather than conflict in the ongoing battle of adaptation? How can our understanding of evolution guide us in facing these challenges? In the quest to understand evolution, one of the most perplexing realms we encounter is evolutionary developmental biology, often abbreviated as EvoDevo. This field studies how the processes of development influence evolutionary change. To put it simply, it examines the relationship between the embryonic development of organisms and their evolutionary history. Imagine a bird. Its wings, though adapted for flight, share a common anatomical structure with the forelimbs of reptiles. This similarity is not just coincidence, it stems from shared ancestry shaped by evolution. The discoveries in EvoDevo have led to revolutionary ideas about how small changes during the developmental phase of an organism can result in significant evolutionary differences. Take the case of the stickleback fish, which is a prime example of how developmental biology can inform our understanding of evolution. Some populations of sticklebacks have evolved to live in freshwater environments, while others remain in marine habitats. Researchers have discovered that the differences in body structure between these populations can be traced to minor changes in their developmental pathways. Genetic mutations affecting a single gene can lead to dramatic physical changes, influencing factors like body size, armor plating, and even reproductive strategies. Furthermore, one of the most significant concepts arising from EvoDevo is the idea of heterochrony, which refers to changes in the timing of developmental events. For instance, certain amphibians retain juvenile features into adulthood, a phenomenon known as neoteny. This is observable in the axolotl, a type of salamander that retains its gills and aquatic lifestyle throughout its life. Another fascinating example comes from the evolution of the vertebrate eye. Despite the anatomical variations across species, the fundamental genetic and developmental pathways are strikingly conserved. The genes responsible for eye development, such as the PAX6 gene, have been found in diverse organisms, indicating a shared evolutionary history. This conservation suggests that understanding these genetic underpinnings could unlock further secrets about how complex traits evolve. However, the field of Evo-Devo does not just illuminate the past, it also provides insights into the future. As we face environmental changes and new challenges, the ability to adapt through developmental changes could become increasingly important. Take, for instance, the rapid evolution of the peppered moth during the Industrial Revolution in the UK. The darker coloration of the moths was favored in polluted areas, demonstrating how quickly and dramatically organisms can adapt to their surroundings. In this case, the developmental mechanisms behind coloration changes had a direct impact on survival. As we consider the future impacts of climate change, understanding these mechanisms may help us predict how other species will adjust. As we dig deeper into Evo-Devo, we reveal not just the mechanisms of change, but also the intricate dance between development and evolution. The more we discover, the clearer it becomes that evolutionary history is written not just in the fossil record, but in the very DNA of living organisms. As we transition into the next chapter, we invite you to ponder this question: could the secrets of our developmental past hold the key to our survival in an uncertain future? As we embark on our next journey, we delve into the fascinating world of symbiosis and its profound impact on evolution. Symbiosis is a biological term that describes interactions between different species, where both parties can either benefit, be neutral, or suffer as a result of the relationship. From microbes living in our guts to the intricate relationships between plants and pollinators, symbiosis plays a crucial role in shaping the evolutionary landscape. One of the most compelling examples of symbiosis can be found in the relationship between corals and zooxanthellae, a type of algae. These algae live within the tissues of corals and provide them with essential nutrients through photosynthesis. In return, the corals offer a protected environment for the algae to thrive. This mutualistic relationship is so crucial that it has resulted in the creation of entire ecosystems known as coral reefs. Reefs are not merely beautiful underwater cities, they are biodiversity hotspots, providing habitats for thousands of marine species. However, as climate change rises, the delicate balance of this relationship is being threatened, leading to coral bleaching events where corals expel their algae due to stress. The implications of symbiotic relationships extend beyond individual species. They can drive evolutionary innovation. A stunning example arises from the evolution of flowering plants and their pollinators, a story as intricate as it is beautiful. As plants evolved to attract specific pollinators, they began to develop distinct traits like vibrant colors, alluring scents, and specialized structures to facilitate pollination. In turn, pollinators such as bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds adapted to better access these plants. This coevolution demonstrates how interconnected ecosystems can be. The famous Charles Darwin once referred to this phenomenon as an entangled bank, showcasing how various organisms' adaptations can shape one another's evolution. Fungi also play a vital role in symbiotic relationships through mycorrhizal networks, which connect plants to the soil and facilitate nutrient exchange. This network can provide insights into the collective intelligence of nature, as plants can share resources and information through these fungal networks, demonstrating a different kind of symbiotic relationship. As we examine these relationships, we see that symbiosis is not just a side note in evolution, it is a driving force behind diversity and adaptation. Understanding these interdependencies can help us grasp how ecosystems maintain stability and resilience in the face of changing environments. With the looming threat of extinction for countless species, the implications of symbiosis become even more critical. Conservation efforts that take these relationships into account may yield more effective results. For instance, rewilding efforts that focus on restoring entire ecosystems rather than individual species could enhance biodiversity and resilience. As we contemplate the role of symbiosis, we are led to another profound question: what would our planet look like without these interconnected relationships? Understanding the evolutionary tapestry woven by symbiosis might just hold the key to preserving our natural world for future generations. Our exploration of evolution takes an exciting turn as we dive into the dynamics of coevolution. Coevolution refers to the reciprocal evolutionary changes that occur between interacting species, each influencing the other's evolution over time. This intricate dance between species has profound implications for biodiversity and ecological balance. One of the most captivating examples of coevolution can be found in the relationship between predators and their prey. Consider the cheetah and the gazelle. As cheetahs evolved to become the fastest land animals, gazelles simultaneously adapted to develop heightened speed and agility. This never-ending arms race demonstrates how one species' adaptations can force another to evolve in response. But the story does not end there. Coevolution can lead to fascinating adaptations beyond mere survival. For instance, certain flowering plants have evolved specific traits to attract their pollinators, while pollinators have concurrently adapted to access those plants more efficiently. The classic example is the relationship between the orchid and its pollinator. Some orchids have developed intricate shapes and scents to attract specific species of insects, ensuring that pollination occurs while providing minimal reward. This strategy illustrates the lengths to which plants will go to ensure their reproductive success. Coevolution also manifests in more complex relationships, such as those found in mutualism. The relationship between oxpeckers, birds that feed on ticks, and parasites on large mammals like rhinos and buffalo, is a striking example. The oxpecker benefits by obtaining a food source, while the mammals receive grooming in return. This mutualistic coevolution highlights how interconnected ecosystems can be in promoting adaptation. On the other hand, we also witness coevolution in the context of parasites and their hosts. The classic example of this dynamic can be seen in the relationship between the yellow cowbird and songbirds. Cowbirds lay their eggs in the nests of other birds, leaving the unsuspecting host to raise their young. In response, many host species have developed strategies to recognize and reject foreign eggs, demonstrating a fascinating evolutionary counter-response. Such interactions highlight the complexities of coevolution and the continuous adaptations that occur in nature. As we explore these dynamics deeper, we encounter the concept of evolutionary arms races. These are situations where two or more species develop counter-adaptations against each other over generations, leading to cycles of adaptation and counter-adaptation. The interactions between predators and their prey, mutualists, and parasites and their hosts are intricate webs of life that contribute to the richness and diversity of our ecosystems. Understanding coevolution reveals not only the adaptability of species but also the essence of life itself, an interconnected web of relationships that sustain ecosystems. In light of these revelations, we must ask ourselves, how will the relationships shaped by coevolution fare in a rapidly changing environment? The next chapter will explore the complexities of these interactions in the context of environmental change, a pressing question for our time. In the realm of evolution, the role of genetic mutations cannot be overstated. Mutations are the raw material of evolutionary change, the unpredictable sparks that fuel the engine of biodiversity. Yet, the fundamental question remains, why do these mutations occur, and how do they lead to significant evolutionary changes? To understand this, we must first delve into the nature of DNA itself. The double helix structure of DNA carries the genetic code for all living organisms. When errors occur during DNA replication, they can result in mutations. Some of these mutations are harmless, others may be detrimental, but occasionally, a mutation can provide an advantage in a given environment, a phenomenon known as adaptive mutation. Consider the case of the peppered moth in England. In the 19th century, the predominance of light-colored moths began to shift as industrial pollution darkened the trees of their habitat. A genetic mutation that resulted in darker coloration became advantageous, leading to an increase in the population of dark moths. This real-world example showcases natural selection at its finest, emphasizing how mutations can have immediate and significant impacts on survival and reproduction. However, the intricacies of genetic mutations extend beyond mere survival. Some mutations can lead to remarkable adaptations that seem almost magical in their precision. Take, for instance, the evolution of antibiotic resistance in bacteria. In the presence of antibiotics, bacterial populations experience intense selective pressure. Those with mutations that confer resistance survive and reproduce, passing on their resistant genes to future generations. This rapid evolution illustrates not only the power of genetic mutation but also highlights a pressing challenge in modern medicine. Furthermore, understanding mutations also brings us face to face with the concept of evolutionary developmental biology, or EvoDevo. This field explores how changes in developmental processes can lead to the emergence of new physical forms and adaptations. For example, the genetic mutations involved in the development of the vertebrate limb have been studied extensively, revealing how slight variations can produce vastly different structures, from the wings of bats to the fins of fish. The interplay between genetic mutations and developmental pathways underscores a crucial aspect of evolution. It is not just the mutations themselves, but also how they manifest in the organism's development that dictates evolutionary outcomes. So, as we piece together the puzzle of genetic mutations, we uncover a narrative filled with chance, survival, and intricate processes that shape all living beings. But what happens when mutations go awry? When the very fabric of life begins to unravel through malign adaptations? To explore these darker possibilities, we turn to a compelling chapter in genetic aberrations, cancer itself. At first glance, evolution seems to be all about survival of the fittest, individuals competing for resources, and the strongest genes reigning supreme. But then, nestled amid this fierce competition, lies a perplexing phenomenon: altruism. Why do some organisms sacrifice their own interests for the benefit of others? This question has stumped biologists for decades and has led to profound insights into the nature of evolution itself. One well-known example of altruism is found in social insects like bees and ants. These creatures exhibit remarkable behaviors wherein certain individuals forego their own reproduction to care for the queen's offspring. The evolutionary conundrum lies in the fact that these altruistic workers do not directly pass on their genes. So, how does this behavior persist? Enter the concept of inclusive fitness. Altruistic acts can be explained through the lens of kin selection, where the success of closely related individuals contributes to the propagation of shared genes. In other words, by helping their relatives survive and reproduce, altruists indirectly enhance their own genetic legacy. Several studies have substantiated this idea. For instance, the work of biologist W. D. Hamilton in the 1960s introduced the mathematical models that framed